Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In this video we'll be talking about the interquartile range, which is the IQR, quartiles, which is the lower quartile, median and upper quartile, Q1, Q2 or Q3, and the 5-number summary. We are also going to talk about the box and whiskers and how to draw the box and whiskers for any given set of data or data set. So let's go straight into it. So we're first going to discuss the median, and if you recall from our previous videos, we have already touched on that and explained how you get it. So it's basically the middle number. So let's get the middle number using the data set we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you cancel from both sides to get the middle number. And so we can all see that D was the last number and it was alone and it was the middle number. So that's our median. Well, now that we know what a median is, or what the median is when given a data set, we want to fit it in the whole interquartile range and quartiles. So when we're talking about quartiles, we are talking about dividing the data set into 3 parts. So the first part is the lower part or the lower quartile, which is this part, and then there's Q2, which is our median, and then which is our middle quartile or second quartile, and then we have the last part of our data, which is the Q3 or upper quartile. So the median will be our Q2 in terms of quartiles. We have 3 quartiles, so the median is our Q2, and let's just write that down. Then we move on to the lower quartile. Whenever you have a given data set, always look for the median first, as we have done in the previous slide. So we have already established that D is our median. And then the lower quartile is the lower part of the data set, or the left hand side of the data set. And so the lower quartile will be the middle number only on our left, also only on the data set that we're given on the left. And note, whenever you want to do quartiles or median or anything like that, you need to order your data in ascending order. As you can see in this slide, everything is ordered in ascending order already. So we are given from A to G, and we know that A is smaller than G if it were numerical forms. So the lower quartile is the middle number on our left, so on the 25% of our data set. So looking at this, we need to find our middle number, and if you cancel from both sides going inward, we can see that B is our Q1 and lower quartile is represented as Q1. So that's our first quartile or Q1, and that's our middle number in our lower quartile. So that's our lower quartile. So B is our Q1. Let's have a look at the last quartile, because we have 3 and we already introduced the median, which is Q2, lower quartile, which is Q1, and now it's the upper quartile. So I said whenever you have a data set, always make sure it's ordered in ascending order. So like in this case, we have A, B to G, which is smallest to largest. So yes, this is correct. Then we move on to finding the median, and we already found that. We already found let's circle it with a different color, the Q1. So that's the lower quartile, and now we want to find the upper quartile. The upper quartile, you look at the other part, or the left part of the right part, so the right hand side part of your data set after you've gotten the median. And note, whenever you look for the upper quartile or lower quartile, you don't include the median. So as you can see, I circled D, and we are not going to look at D. So we look at the middle number on the right hand side of our data. So looking for our middle number, we cancel from both sides, and we see that our middle number is, or our middle number in our quartile, in our third quartile, is F. So our upper quartile is F. That's our middle number. So that's Q3. So now we have established Q1, Q2, and Q3. Then we get to range, and if you recall, we've already talked about range in our previous videos. So yes, the range of a dataset is the difference between the maximum and the minimum values in a set or in the set. So it's the maximum number, which is the largest number in our dataset, minus the minimum number or the smallest number in our dataset, and that's how you calculate range. So whenever they ask you for range, you look for the biggest number in our dataset, and you look for the minimum number, and you subtract the minimum number from the maximum number. Then we get interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the dispersion or the measure of dispersion, which is calculated by subtracting the first quartile from the third quartile. So the Q3, the upper quartile minus the lower quartile or Q1. This gives the range of the middle half of the data set. So that's how you calculate interquartile range. And so let's go into questions to better understand these concepts. So for our first question, we have that determine the quartiles. So we have 3 quartiles, so we need to determine 3 quartiles, Q1, Q2, and Q3, and the interquartile range of the following data set. So we are given this data set, and we can see that it's not ordered in ascending order, meaning from lowest to the largest number. So from the smallest number to the largest number. So let's quickly order our numbers. So we have 3, 9, 7, 6, 7. So we just cancelled 3, we cancelled 6, we cancelled 7. We have 2 7s, so let's quickly write that down. 7, and we have 9. The next largest number will be 11. Then we have, we missed 12. Oh no, we didn't miss it. So 12. Then we have 16. Then, so this is how far we are now. We cancel 12, cancel 16, 7, 9, 11. So we're left with 31, 35, 40, and 45. And that's not very hard to get. So we have 31, we have 35, we have 40, and 45. And so this is our ordered list or ordered data set. So let's count the digits so that we make sure we do not miss a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we are still on the right track, and we have ordered our list in the correct order, so we may begin. So whenever you're dealing with quartiles and median, you always have to make sure your data set is ordered in ascending order. So let's determine the quartiles, and we say to determine the quartiles, the first thing we need to do is to get the median. So that's the second quartile. Let's just remove those markings so that it's easier to see. So I'm just going to draw a line through that so that we don't get confused. So now we have, so let's get our median looking at this new data set or our ordered data set. We keep going inward, in inward direction. Yep. And we can see that our two middle numbers is 11 and 12, or are in 11 and 12. So we get the Q2, and we all know how to get that. So that's Q2. Okay, my bad. Sorry about that. Just fix it. So yes, let's get our median, and we're just gonna decrease the font because it's quite big. Let's get to that. Yeah. So median will be here, or let's name it our Q2. is going to be 11 plus 12 all divided by 2, and we get that our median is 11. Sorry about that. So it's 11,5. 11,5. And then for our Q1, so let's just put it right there. So we get our Q1 now. So let's circle our median first before we continue. So we have that our median is right there. So it's right there, and let's write it down, 11, 11.5. So now let's get our Q1 and Q2, and we say that after we have gotten our median, then we forget about it, we leave it alone, and then we just look at the lower part and the upper part of our data set that we have already divided using our Q2. So looking at this first part, or the left part of our data set, because that's our Q1, we need to get the median there, and that's we're going to get it by cancelling on both sides, going in an inward direction, and we get that we are left with 7 and 7. And if we add 7, so we add 7 plus 7, we get 14, and we divide that 14 by 2, we get 7. So our Q1 is 7. So let's write our Q1 right there. We don't need to write it, but let's write it down to be 7. And then we look at our upper side of our data set, and that's for our Q3, and we get that. So we get our middle number by cancelling, going in an inward direction, and we get 31 plus 35 divided by 2. So that's going to be 33. So our Q3 will be 33. And then they want us to calculate the interquartile range of the following data. So as we've discussed in the previous slide, the interquartile range, you get the interquartile range by saying Q3, so the largest one, minus Q1. So let's write IQR, in short, interquartile range, is equals to Q3 minus Q1, and that is 33 minus 7. 33 minus 7, and we get that the answer is 26. And so that's how you work with these things, you guys. So that's it for this question. And yes, so we'll move on to the next question. Question 2, find the range, quartiles, and the interquartile range of the following data set. So let's make sure it's ordered in ascending order first. And looking at this, we can see that it's already ordered in ascending order. So smallest to largest. Our smallest number is 20 and our largest number is 91. So let's move on to getting our range, because that's the easiest at this point. So getting our range would say range is equals to maximum number, so max, minus mean, which is equals to 91 minus 20, which is 71. So let's move on to getting our quartiles, and we say the first thing we do is getting our median. So let's get our median using the following data. So we mark all our individual data sets moving in an inward direction, and we can see that the two middle numbers are 46 and 53. So let's get the median for that. So we say median and we add the two, 46 plus 53, 46 plus 53, all of that. So let's get our answer first. 36 plus 53 is 99. All that divided by 2, and we get that our answer is 49.5. So we get 49.5, and that's our Q2. So let's write that down, Q2. And after that, let's just clear our marking so that we can see what's going on. After that, we get our Q1, Q2, Q3. So let's quickly label what we've gotten so far. So we got our median, and it's right there, and it's 49.5. Now we look at this part as our lower part of the data set, and then we look at this side as our upper part of the data set. So now we are looking for Q1, and we look at the left hand side of our data set, which is the green part, and so we look for our middle number going in an inward direction like that, and we can see that our two middle numbers are or is 40 and 43. So we get our Q1 and we calculate. It's going to be Q1 is equals to 40 plus 43, and we get 83, and if we divide that by 2, we get 41.5. So we get 41.5. Just divide by 2 right there. So that's our Q1, and now let's look for our Q3, which is the median number in our upper part of the data set. So let's get our middle number by cancelling everything. So like that, going in an inward direction, and we get our two middle numbers or is 63, and so we're going to say 63 plus 70, and we get our answer is 133. And if we divide 133 divided by 2, we get our answer to be 66.5. And that's our Q1, Q2, and Q3, and our range. Now the last thing that we are required to calculate is the interquartile range. So that's the IQR, and we calculate it by saying the bigger quartile minus the smallest quartile. So IQR is equals to Q3 subtract or minus Q1, and that is 66.5. So 66.5 minus Q1, which is 41.5, and so let's say minus 41.5, and we get our answer to be 25. So that's our answer for our interquartile range. So that's the dispersion of the data in our data set. Now we get the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is a common way of summarizing the overall data set. And we use the 5-number summary to plot or draw the box and whisker plot. These two represent exactly the same information. The one is numerical in the case of the 5-number summary, and the graphically one, or the one in graphics, or the one that represents the data set in a graphical manner, is the box and whisker plot, but they contain the same information, and you can literally make the same conclusions looking at the two. The 5-number summary consists of the minimum value. So the 5-number summary consists of the minimum value, the 3 quartiles, so quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3, and the maximum number. Another way of saying this is that the 5-number summary consists of the following percentiles. So the 0th percentiles, which is the minimum, 25th, which is the Q1, 50th, which is the Q2, 75th, which is the Q3, and 100th, which is the maximum value in our data set. So let's have a look at how you use this 3 to draw the box and whisker plot. So you first have to create a number line that has consistent values. So let's give our minimum Q1, Q2, Q3 and max numbers so that we can just get a general idea on how to plot a box and whiskers. So our minimum value in this case will be 1, our Q1 will be 3, our Q2 will be 4, our Q3 will be say 7, and our max will be 11, something like that. Yeah. So you first have to draw a number line with consistent increments. So what I mean is, if you have your number line is that, so let's draw our straight line for the number line. Then the first value, the difference between the first value and the second value should always be the same, and the distance. So let's try to make that the same quickly. Okay, I'm going to try to let me just try to quicken up the process by just jumping numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 strokes. I think we can just put everything there. And note, you don't always have to start on 0, because this is a number line, and as we all know, the number line never ends. So it goes up until infinity, negative infinity to positive infinity. So you don't have to start from 0. So I'm just going to start from 1. And if let's say your minimum value was 56, you would start at 56. Where I put my 1, you start at 56. So I'm just going to say 1, 2 because I can. But if you can't, you can start, let's say you had that data set, you then say 55, 60, 65, 70, but your increments should always be the same. So the difference should always be 5 in that case. In this case, my difference is going to be 1 because our values are quite small and they can all fit on my number line. So let's write that down now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So yes, that's our number line with consistent increments. And then so we plot our minimum Q1, Q2, Q3, and maximum this way. So this is very important. The box and whisker should never touch the number line. So there should always be a small space between the number line and your box and whiskers. So that kind of space, like I've shown in this slide. So let's start off by plotting our 1 for the minimum. So you just put a small line there. Some people put dots on there. It's still the same thing. Just a small stroke on 1, and then a small stroke on maximum, which is 11. A small one. Try to make it aligned. Usually we have boxes and all that to do this, box and whiskers. And then after minimum and maximum, you now plot your Q1, Q2, and Q3. So we're going to have 3 for Q1, and that one, these ones are bigger strokes, and you're going to see why. Q2 is 4, so Q2 is right there, and it's 4. Then we get Q3, and it's 7. So 7 is right there, and you make a bigger stroke. And then you join Q1, Q2, and Q3 together like that. So you join them together like that. And then from your Q1, you join the minimum, and from your Q3, you join to the maximum. And that's how you draw your box and whiskers. Then you must always label it. So we need to label that's our minimum. We need to label that this one is our Q1, Q2, Q3, and that's our maximum value. And that's it for box and whiskers, guys. So you just need to know your 5 number summaries, which is the minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, and max, and you should be able to draw your box and whiskers like that. So let's look at questions on how we can make use of boxing whiskers and how to draw them if we are required to do so. So for our first question, we have given the following data: 5, 8, 15, 20, 25, 27, 31, 36, 75. We should find the range, median, interquartile range, so IQR, and draw a box and whiskers. And then we should also identify any outliers. I got this question from grade 11 in South Africa, grade 11 question paper. So these are the kinds of questions they ask you from grade 8 to grade 11. So you should get comfortable with them because they're quite simple and easy marks. So let's begin. Let's just change our color so that we can see the difference and see what exactly we are doing. So in this case, we're going to start with the range because that's the easiest, and we said range is maximum, so the maximum number minus minimum number, and that is 75 minus 5, which is 70. So 75 minus 5, and that is equals to 70. Then we have to look for our median, which is our Q2. So let's do that. Median. Yep. Q2, and that's going to be our median. So we look for our median by cancelling numbers going in an inward direction like that. And as the more you do it, the more you realize it's actually not hard. And if it's not hard, then it becomes fun. I don't know if it applies to everyone, but I feel like math can be fun if you put in the attention it needs. So that's our 25, and it's repetitive work. Literally, we've been doing this and it's the same thing over and over again. Just the numbers keep changing around and the question structures keep changing a little bit, but it's one and the same thing. So let's have a look at number 3. So we already done the part. Let's tick so that we know what we have done. We've done the range, median. Now we are doing the IQR. They don't have to ask you for quartiles for you to be able to use the IQR. If they just, like in this case, straight ahead asked you to calculate the interquartile range, you literally have to write your own Q1 and Q3 alone, because that's what the formula wants us to do, because the formula is Q3 minus Q1. So IQR, we can't write IQR because you don't have Q1 and Q3, so let's get Q1 and Q3. So let's just rub out our rec right there so that we can see what's going on, and circle our median, which is 25. And so in our lower part of the data set, that's where our Q1 is, and we get our middle number by cancelling numbers going in an inward direction. And we can see that, we have two numbers that are our middle numbers. So let's get to it and add them together, then divide by 2. So 8 plus 15 is 23, and 23 divided by 2 is 11,5. So let's say 11.5. And then we get our Q3 because we've already gotten our Q2, which is our median. So our Q3 is the middle number in our upper part of our data set, which is the part in red. So let's get our middle number by cancelling going in an inward direction, and we can see that our middle number there is in between 31 and 36. So we need to get the median between those two numbers by adding them together. So 31 plus 36 is equals to 67, and 67 divided by 2 is equals to 33,5. And so that's how you do it. They did not ask us to calculate Q1 and Q3. They asked us for interquartile range, so IQR, and that's going to be Q3 minus Q1, and that's going to be 33.5 minus 11.5 is going to be 22. So that's 33.5 minus 11.5, and that is 22. And then we get draw a box and whiskers. We already have our Okay, let me just show you what I mean. So we already have our minimum value right there and there, because we already substituted 75 and 5. 75 is our biggest number, and then 5 is our lowest number. We have q1, q2, q3, and what else we need? That's it. We need minimum, maximum, q1, q2, and q3, and we already have that. So let's move on to the next page so that we can draw our box and whiskers. And this is our last question, by the way. So let's just say at page, and let's draw a box and whiskers. So we first have to draw a number line that fits all the numbers we want to put there, and the number line should have, okay, that's quite hideous. And it should show that it keeps going on. So you should put arrows on your graph. It's quite difficult doing it with a computer because, yeah, it's difficult. Then we have to, the distance between those strokes should be the same. Yeah, then just give me, okay, now it's getting untidy. Let's try to. Yep, we're getting there. Halfway done. And yes. Forgive me because I am not measuring the distance between my strokes, but you know you need to do that. And we can see that our lowest number is 5 and our biggest number is 75, and most of these numbers are going into 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and so forth. So let's do that and let's see if we can get, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Okay, yep, we can do that. So 5, 10, 15, I don't know, you guys, it's just not neat. So let's add that. So 5, 10, 15, let's do that, 15, 20, 25, 20, 25, 30, 35, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 45, 50, 55, 60, those are too close, 65. Oh, guys, believe me, you can see what's going on. We don't have 4-digit numbers or digit numbers. So yeah, 70, 75. Let's end by 80 because our maximum number is 75. Then so we make our strokes. So we're going to use a different color. Let's use red, and we make our small tiny stroke there. Let's make sure they're straight lines. So we're going to do that. So a small straight line right there, and on our 75 because that's our maximum, so just a small one. And then we look at our q1, and in our q1 we have 11,5. 11,5 is somewhere there, so we're going to have a bigger stroke right there. And we have q2 is 25. 25 is right there, so we make our stroke right there. In our next video, we're going to discuss the skewness of the data, and that's just the box and whisker. So you look at the box and whisker and you see where the q2 lies between q1 and q3. That's quite simple. We are going to talk about it in the next video. Then we have q3, which is 33,5 and 33,5 somewhere there. Let's just do that. Just know it's somewhere there. And try to make it straight, you guys. But honestly, they would mark this correct because, yeah, well, they wouldn't because of my number line, obviously. But yeah, we're humans. It cannot be perfect, but try your best, you guys. So yes, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video, and you know what we're going to be talking about, so I can't wait. You should also not can't wait. See you in our next video. Bye.